We're so blessed to have Emily here today. Emily's the founder, the CEO of, it's called Ziva Meditation. She's, I believe, really the leading expert in meditation for performance. And that's what you guys are. You guys are women leaders who are ready, ready to go out there and perform. And I believe meditation is one of the simplest, most profound things we can do to really manage and balance our energy, so that when we get kicked into like fight or flight, we have a way of coming right back to the thing that we're here to do on the planet. Emily's taught over 25,000 people. Take that in for a minute. She's literally taught over 25,000 people the skill of meditation. She's an international speaker, an author. She's got a best-selling book called Stress Less, Accomplish More, which debuted number 7 out of all the books on Amazon, and it's been translated into 12 languages. She's been in the New York Times, Good Morning America, the Today Show, Vogue, ABC. She's been named one of the top 100 women in wellness. She's spoken at Apple, Google, Harvard. Her graduates include Oscar, Grammy, and Emmy Award winners, Navy SEALs, and NBA players. She's a badass, and I am so excited to have her here to give you some of the top meditation hacks for especially women leaders. Open up the lines and let's give her a big round of applause. Emily Fletcher.
Hi, angels. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Sage, for inviting me. I've been looking forward to this all week long. Thank you for the work that you're doing in the world. Thank you for bravely raising your hand and saying, yes, I want to share my gifts with the world. I am so honored to get to share this time with you. I'm really excited about talking about how meditation might help you to give an even more persuasive talk. One thing that I will mention that Sage did not is that I used to be on Broadway. I was on Broadway for 10 years, and it was through my stressful career on Broadway that I found meditation. For those of you who know and love Broadway, I was understudying 3 leads in a chorus line, which is very stressful. Going gray, having insomnia, was getting injured, even though I was living my dream. Long story short, I found meditation. It changed my whole life. It cured my insomnia on the first night. I'm 41 now. I stopped going gray, even though I was going gray in my 20s. I didn't get sick for 8.5 years. And I just thought, why does everyone not do this? So I left Broadway. I went to India. I started what became a 3-year training process to teach. And since graduating, I've actually taught 40,000 people. It's up from 25. It's up from that bio.
I believe you. I was actually like, I was like, this bio is probably outdated.
40 now, which is like the accomplishment of my life. And not just for those 40,000 people, but for the ripple effect of how those 40,000 people are going to impact their families, their communities, their industries, right? And so what I really wanted to drive home today is yes, how meditation can help you personally, because we all need it right now. Even if you're an enlightened saint, it's like, oh, did you hear it's 2020? Did you hear that we might be facing another lockdown, but this time through winter? Did you hear that schools are closing in New York City? Like, there's a lot for us to adapt to as individuals. And you have this calling, you have this mission. So yes, you have to take care of yourself and you want to show up for this mission. And so I'm going to talk today about how meditation can help us with both, and then I'll actually lead us through an experience. So a couple of things is that when you're stressed, right, if you are panicked or anxious or nervous, chances are people aren't going to want to listen to you. Right? Like, they're going to just turn off. Nobody wants to listen to someone who is nervous. You're not going to be very persuasive. And actually, people don't trust you. Like, the more nervous you are, the more people feel like they have to protect themselves from you. And there's some interesting science to back this up. So if you put 50 people in a room, we will naturally be drawn to and want to listen to the person who has the highest level of heart rate variability. You've probably heard this term before, HRV, if you're in the biohacking communities. But heart rate variability is basically your ability to adapt, meaning that if a tiger comes in, are you going to be able to protect us? Can you fight this tiger? Can you run away from this tiger? When it's time to rest, are you able to down-regulate and rest? So it's not just being in fight or flight. It's not just resting, but how adaptive are you? And this, to me, is the single greatest byproduct. It is the single greatest benefit of meditation, is our ability to adapt, to not be rigidly attached to how we think life was supposed to go, and rather flow. Right? Be present and flow. And right now, just because of the state of the world, we are all being asked to adapt to a lot. And so if you start a daily meditation practice, 2 things happen. 1, you're filling up your reservoirs of adaptation energy every day, twice a day. That's what I teach at Ziva. And you're increasing your ability to adapt, which affects your heart rate variability. So we naturally are drawn to the calmest person in the room, to the person who has the highest level of heart rate variability. We can't help but want to listen to them. Okay, so this would be a drop in the bucket. This is me persuading you to want to start a daily meditation practice or recommit to your daily meditation practice, and certainly utilize this tool before you go and give your talks to an audience. Just before you even open your mouth, people are already going to be like, oh, what's that? What does she have? Like, they're just going to feel that something is different in you, and they're going to want to pay attention. Now, the other thing, interestingly, that happens when we start a meditation practice, and this takes somewhere between like 6 weeks and 4 months, but you're not just changing your neurochemistry, meaning that you're not just getting rid of adrenaline and cortisol, which are stress hormones. You're not just flooding your brain and body with dopamine and serotonin, which are bliss chemicals, which that's all awesome. We need that to happen. But over time, you're actually changing the structure of your brain. Within only a few weeks of a daily practice, you can strengthen something called the corpus callosum. Now, this corpus callosum is the thin white strip that connects the right and left hemispheres of your brain. And if you look at a human brain, it actually splits right down the middle. They're two different organs. The only thing that connects the right and left hemispheres of our brain is the thin white strip called the corpus callosum. And we've known for a long time that meditators have thicker corpus callosums than non-meditators, but we weren't able to prove if that was causal or correlated. But now we know that the longer you meditate, the thicker your corpus callosum becomes. You might be like, yeah, cool party trick, but why would I want a fat corpus callosum? Well, everybody should, and here's why. It's quite literally the bridge between your past and future and your present moment awareness. It is the bridge between your critical mind and your creative mind. It is the bridge between your masculine and your feminine. And the way that this shows up in life is, if you still have a day job, if you had a boss, let's say, or there's just like a deadline that comes up at work, things are really crazy, your boss comes and yells at you and you just freeze. Instead of coming up with amazing ideas, you're just like frozen. This is fight or flight. Or a better example would be you get into a fight with your partner. It gets a little heated, then it gets really heated. And eventually you shut down, retreat to the bedroom and start crying behind the door. 2 hours later, once you're calm, then you start coming up with all these hilarious, witty comebacks. And you're like, why couldn't I have thought of that in the moment? Well, my theory is that the thicker your corpus callosum is, the easier it is for you to come up with these creative problem-solving ideas when it counts, when it's go time. Right? So when you're giving your persuasive talk, you're going to want both the right and left hemispheres of your brain engaged. You're going to want your left brain engaged because you need to remember your bullets, right? Like, what's the science? What's the stats? What are my 5 things that I want to hit? But you're also going to need your right brain engaged because you are going to want to be so hyper present with everyone in the room, especially with Zoom, right? Because right now I'm looking into the camera so that so you can see in my eyeballs, so you can feel engaged in my soul. But I also have to have an awareness on your faces, right? So it's like pulling the lens of my awareness out, taking you all in. I can see you. Sunny's just like with me. She's nodding. She's smiling. Rachel's just like giving me a lot of silent amens, right? So I'm taking all of that in while I'm simultaneously pouring as much of my energy into the camera as I can. Now, I actually find that easier in a room with humans, but you have to have this simultaneity of consciousness going. Left brain remembering all your points, right brain hyper present with your peeps. The best stand-up comedians can do this, right? They know their whole set and they're improvising with the people in the room. The best athletes can run the play in their sleep and they're able to improvise with wherever the ball is going in the moment. Okay, so to truly give as persuasive a talk as you are capable of, you must have access to both hemispheres of your brain. And if you don't have a daily meditation practice, the reality is it's likely that your left brain is overdeveloped. You've been thinking, taking action, achieving, making money so you could be happy in the future. And what this style of meditation does is that it quite literally takes your right brain to the gym. And over time, we start to increase neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to change itself. We, like I said, strengthen that corpus callosum, and you can actually increase the size of your hippocampus by 17%. Imagine if you could increase the size of your bicep by 17%. You'd be like, whoa, this is in your brain, which, by the way, is responsible for making every single decision in your life and printing every single cell in your body. So this excuse of like, I don't have time to meditate is 100% malarkey. Okay, this thing is making every single decision in your life and printing every single cell in your body. Sage called it the mother skill. That meditation really is the mother skill. And sure, you could just meditate right before you give a talk, and that would be better than not meditating. But where you're really going to see the magic is if you create a daily practice for yourself. So That's plenty of yammering on. I think that's plenty of
Emily, this is
science.
amazing. I just want to echo that. So the comments thread is blowing up, that women
Right.
are saying this is so sexy. I could not love Emily more. I love
Yeah.
this. Meditation literally saved my life, says Charisse. You're speaking my language. Emily Fletcher, thank you for being here. And I just want to say that as soon as my business started to take off, I actually started meditating by force. Like, I was the person that was like, no, I'd rather go for a bike ride. No, I'd rather go for a hike. No, I'd rather do yoga. I actually needed to learn to sit on my cushion for 10, 15, 20 minutes a day and bring all the energy in. And that has been really, in so many ways, what has sustained my ability to juggle all of the balls that I juggle on a daily basis and not get plowed over by life and responsibilities and CEO. And now my life as a CEO feels a little bit more like surfing. It feels a little bit more like riding some fun waves. And it all comes back to meditation. And if I don't meditate for a morning or two, I absolutely notice a difference. And when I meditated with Emily for the first time, I immediately was like, Emily, you get this, you know. And I just want to point out for all of you who are speakers and are starting a business, you guys can see that Emily knows her shit. She's not, right? Like, she's not winging it right now. She's prepared. She's got it all. And how can each of you start to really think about, right? Like, what are those 3 or 5 or 7 awesome things that you want to lay on people when you first get to meet an audience, whether it's virtual or live? Because Emily, you're just such a shining example of that. And right now, yes, let's move into a practice. And Emily, thank you for your transmission, and let's move into a practice so we can all get to experience this.
Great. Let's do it. So the one thing I want you to hold with you as we go into this experience is that thoughts are not the enemy of meditation. Okay, so if you have ever felt frustrated because you couldn't clear your mind, if you've ever felt like, oh, I want to meditate, but I'm just thinking about my ex-boyfriend, or I want to meditate, but I'm thinking about this launch, you're not a meditation failure. Okay, you probably just haven't been taught yet, or you're trying to do monk meditation instead of meditation for people like us. And that's what we do at Ziva, right? We teach people with busy minds and busy lives. We're all about meditation for better performance, because I don't care how good you are at meditation. I care how good you are at life. I care how good you feel when you give your talk right after this. Okay. So you don't have to clear your mind, just go along with the journey. So before we even mess with our breath or our bodies, our brains, what I'd like for you to do is look up from the computer screen and look at one point in your room. Just find one focal point, something to look at that's not your computer screen, and really focus in on it. And just notice what that does to your brain, to your body. It's like you go into hunter mode, actually, not gatherer. We're focusing in, right? And now, like your eyes are a movie camera or a lens of a camera. I want you to soften the focus and see if you can take in more of the room. You're looking out the right side and the left side of your eyes, and you're not really looking at any particular thing. You're looking at all the things simultaneously, softening your focus, softening your gaze, breathing into that, noticing how that shifts your body. The eyes are an extension of our nervous system. They are an extension of our brain. And we spend so much time focusing in on screens and phones. Just to take a moment to soften our gaze, taking in the entire horizon of a room, can change our brains almost immediately. Really good. Now I want you to close your eyes and take a big, delicious inhale through your nose and a juicy exhale through your mouth. Beautiful. Inhaling through your nose, breathing spaciousness into your belly, into your chest. And this time we'll exhale, letting everything in the body surrender completely. One more breath, big belly breath, big breath into the chest. And this time as we exhale, we're going to create some sound if you feel safe. And if you're alone, just yeah, toning that vagal nerve, really good. I lied. We're going to do one more big breath in and exhale, making some sound, letting yourself sigh it all out, letting your brow soften, your shoulders soften, your belly soften as you exhale, this time with some sound. Really good. And keeping the eyes closed when you get to the bottom of this exhale, I invite you to let your breath be easy and natural. So we're not manipulating or changing. or controlling the breath in any way. We're just allowing it to flow in and flow out. We're allowing ourselves to be breathed, keeping the eyes closed so that you can bring all your attention into yourself, into your body. Really good. And imagining your breath washing in and out like the waves on a shore. And now, ever so gently, bringing your awareness to your sense of hearing. Noticing what's the most prevalent sound you can detect right now. Noticing the prevalence of my voice. And now listening beyond the most prevalent sound and noticing the most subtle sound you can detect. Is there traffic or birds outside? Can you hear your own breath? Really good. And now ever so gently bringing your awareness to your sense of sight. So even though your eyes are closed, I invite you to notice the prevalence of the blackness behind your eyelids. And the subtlety of the light from the computer or the light from your room as it streams through your eyelids. There might even be colors happening in your mind's eye. Really good. And now ever so gently transitioning into your sense of touch. So what's the most prevalent tactile sensation happening in your body right now? For most of us, it'll be the weight of our bodies against the chair. There might be a pain happening in your knee or your chest. Instead of ignoring that, right now we're pulling the lens of our awareness out and we're including everything that's happening inside of this experience. The sounds, the sights, and right now the feeling. If your heart is racing, give it permission to race. We're not judging these sensations as good or bad. We're simply noticing what's the most prevalent sense of touch. Can you feel your breath as it moves in and out of your nostrils? Can you notice the subtle sensation of your clothes against your skin? And we'll take this one layer deeper and noticing how we're feeling emotionally. If you're sad, you can give yourself permission to be sad. If you're angry, you're allowed to rage. If you're nervous, it's okay to feel the fear. If you're happy, please be joyous out loud. Again, we're not judging these as good feelings or bad feelings. We're just checking in and bravely asking, how am I feeling right now? And whatever starts to bubble up for you, giving yourself full permission to let it bubble up, to be where you are. Not because there's anything to fix, but that we need to know where we're starting from so we know what our journey is to get to our talk. Really good. So once you've given your body permission to talk to you, you feel like you've checked in. I invite you to imagine yourself giving this talk. It could be to your partner, or it could be on your dream stage. I want you to really see yourself. Where are you? Who's in the audience? Noticing what happens in your body as you see these faces. Does your heart start to race? Do your palms get sweaty? Does your mouth get dry? And instead of judging this as bad or seeing yourself as a failure, can you remind yourself that this is just your body protecting you? Can you remind yourself that I care so much about this topic? I want to do so well, that this is my body helping me. Now I want you to imagine you have a magic wand and you could wave it over this talk. And I want you to see yourself totally rocking it, totally crushing it, feeling confident, feeling inspired, connecting from your heart and from your soul with every single person in the audience. Letting this energy exchange be uplifting and reciprocal. And knowing that there is no such thing as failing, there is only learning and growing. And imagine yourself finishing this talk, walking off the stage or closing the Zoom, and just feeling that feeling of accomplishment, of joy, of generosity. And imagine giving yourself a big high five, a huge hug, celebrating the success for yourself and the success for every single person who just got to witness your talk. Really good. And taking a big, delicious inhale, knowing that this or something better is already on the way to you. And exhaling, letting go of anything that's not serving you or this dream. Starting to breathe life into your hands, into your feet, bringing your awareness into the body, into the room. And just because it's fun, let's bring a smile to our face. And let's breathe this smile into every single cell in our body. And then exhaling, letting go of any nervousness, any anxiety, anything that's keeping you from giving the most persuasive talk that you are capable of giving. And in your own time, let's open our eyes. High fives, high fives, high fives.
Such a gift, such a gift, such a gift, such a gift. Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I have no idea where I'd be without the tools to really calm and center myself, because when you guys are getting out there as speakers, when you're getting more visible, when you're stretching yourself, you're allowing more energy to channel through your body. And yes, your heart's going to race sometimes, and you're ramping up. And what we have to learn how to do as women leaders is we have to learn how to bring ourselves back down. I've talked to some of you guys already about what does it mean to come down gracefully, rather than to come crashing down into burnout. And so one of the ultimate women's leadership skills is to actually learn to bring ourselves down. And we learn through meditation. And the more you practice, the more then you can actually regulate and do that throughout the day, even when you're in front of people. I've watched Emily do this over and over again. Emily, thank you so much.
I love you. I'm so happy. I love all of y'all. Good luck. Godspeed. I'm here to support in any way that I can.
And watch out, because Emily is likely going to be a household name in a matter of months. She's launching I think she's launching the most important meditation program for children and preteens online that the virtual world has really seen. And especially those of you who are also in the spiritual niche, pay attention to Emily. Go over to her website and watch her as an entrepreneur. Watch how she brands herself, because she's so smart. She's already built into 7 figures with her business. And Emily, I'm so excited to support you and know you and all the adventures that lie ahead. Thank you so much.
We're just getting started, y'all. We are just getting started.
All right. Women are the future of the planet. Kiss for Emily. And if you got value from this episode, I invite you to hit the subscribe button so that we can get you weekly business trainings in your inbox to help you grow your impact and your income the women's way. Head over into the Women Rocking Business Sisterhood Facebook group and introduce yourself there, because women go so much further when we go together. Just click the button to subscribe, and we will see you on the other side.